Greetings from Pintpot. Welcome to my latest edition of Climbing the Curve, the series intended to make you the hunter, rather than the hunted, a little quicker. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the proximity radar. Now this is a defense slot attachment you can put on the main battle tank, the Lightning, the Sunderer and the Harasser. And should not be confused with the scout radar, which goes on flashes and ESFs, as the two work quite differently. The upgrade path for proximity radar is the same for all these different vehicles at 100 certs for rank 1 going up to 500 certs for rank 4, with the range on it going up from 30 meters on rank 1 to 50 meters on rank 4. So how does it work? Well, effectively it detects any motion in a radius around your vehicle. It only works on infantry and maxes though, not vehicles, which isn't an issue as you auto detect vehicles at 100 meters anyway, or 200 meters for aircraft. When motion is detected, it comes up with a red dot on your minimap. It doesn't tell you if it's a max or an infantryman, or which direction they're pointing, just the fact that they are there. However, should the hostiles stop moving, they will disappear from the minimap. The same if they crouch walk. Also, only the people inside the vehicle will be able to benefit from the radar, as only they will be able to see the dots on the minimap. So on the Lightning, it's only the driver himself who can see it, and on the main battle tank it'll be both the driver and the gunner. The same applies to the Harasser, though also you have the rumble seat. So, is proximity radar worth it? And for me, I see two principal benefits from using it. There's a guy coming behind us to C4 us. You can see him on the proximity. Oh, he did, he got some C4. The first is as a defense against C4. C4 is one of the principal threats armor faces versus infantry. However, the deploy zone for C4 is extremely limited, down to about 10 meters. Therefore, for those tanks who are using proximity radar, they will get a precious moment's warning before any infantry get in range to deploy C4. Now this is useful for any vehicle, but much more so for Lightning and main battle tanks than for Harassers. This is because Harassers are very mobile platforms, so they're difficult to get close to C4. Also, they're very squishy platforms, so why would you bother C4ing them when you can just shoot them with a small arm or hit them with a rocket? So I see this perk of being limited use to Harasser, but extremely useful to Lightnings and in particular main battle tanks. This is because Lightning's acceleration is pretty good and they can usually get away from being C4'd relatively easily. But main battle tank acceleration is poor in comparison, and therefore you need as much warning as possible before you're being C4'd. Now for Sunderers, to whom C4 is one of the major dangers, you would have thought the proximity radar would be excellent. However, in practice it doesn't work out exactly like this. The problem being that because you have to position Sunderers in such a way that they're not exposed to attack from the base you're attacking, they're often next to outcrops of rock or other infrastructure overhanging them, such as in this clip where I'm positioned next to a tower. Therefore, it's one thing knowing that someone's coming close to you to C4 you, but it's another thing entirely being able to do something about it. Therefore, I can see how proximity radar can work for a well-organised defence of a Sunderer, but for most cases, blockade armour will be much better. And this is simply because if you can't actually do anything about being C4'd, at least you can be in a position to absorb the damage. Now the other major benefit proximity radar gives you is when you're actively hunting enemy infantry, and this is because it gives you much better situational awareness of the threats around you and where the infantry are who you're targeting. Therefore, one of the main advantages infantry have versus armour in close quarters, the ability to hide behind cover then sneak out to shoot at you, is heavily negated. So in my opinion, any infantry hunting tank build that you have which involves getting very close to enemy infantry really needs proximity radar attached. Which invites the question, why would you in a tank where your weapons can potentially hurt people from hundreds of meters away want to get close to enemy infantry? Well, two reasons really. The first is it makes you a more effective hunter, not relying on them coming out of cover to kill them, but actively seeking them out. And the second is area denial. By putting an anti-infantry tank in a key location, you can effectively deny that area to enemy infantry. For example, controlling an area across a road so that they can't cross into the base. And there are some weapons on main battle tanks and Harassers specifically designed for very close quarters combat, like the Fury, the Marauder and the C85 canister. Though these weapons are effectively useless at range, they can be very effective in close quarters combat. So when you're using a tank in this manner, you're effectively trading survivability for killing potential. And by using the proximity radar, you heavily negate the enemy's ability to both C4 you and to sneak up unexpectedly in terms of rocketing you. However, for an anti-tank build, Its only real use is to stop people sneaking up to see for you, which is much less of a problem when you're fighting enemy infantry. So on which of the 4 vehicles does it work best on? Well, in my opinion, it works by far the best on a main battle tank. And there are a number of reasons for this. On a main battle tank, unlike a Lightning, there'll be 2 sets of eyes on the minimap to detect anyone getting close to your tank. Without auto repair, you're going to have to top yourself up against minor damage much more frequently. In a main battle tank, you can have one of the 2 people still in the tank using the proximity radar while the other person heals up. That way they can warn them or shoot at anyone who comes close enough to start attacking the healing engineer. Also, the main battle tank can have a build which synergizes very nicely with the close quarters nature of the fight using proximity radar. Guns like the canister or the marauder, which are pretty rubbish at longer distances, going on useless, can suddenly become very viable weapons. Whilst for the Lightning, this is not an issue. So which rank proximity radar should you be aiming for? And for me, I'm pretty binary about this. Rank 1 gives you a 30 meter radius, but the next ranks, rank 2 and rank 3, only extend it by another 5 meters. It's only when you get to rank 4 that it suddenly extends by an additional 10 meters. Therefore, my recommendation is, if you're using proximity radar just to defend yourself against being C4'd, you only need to upgrade to rank 1. But if you're using this build to hunt infantry, you want to take it up to rank 4. And the reason for this is because it becomes incredibly difficult to hit targets greater than 50 meters away with dumbfire rockets. This is because of their incredibly slow velocity. Therefore, if you're running max rank proximity radar, effectively you can detect any heavy infantry around you who are within rocketable range. Obviously this excludes lock-ons, but you can line of sight them instead. However, if you're running rank 1, there is a nice gap between 30 and 50 meters where they can still attack you, but you won't necessarily be aware of their presence. So to boil it down to its essentials, for defensive purposes 30 meters is fine, but 50 meters is necessary if you want to go on the offensive. And on a Sundra, this idea of hunting enemy infantry doesn't really synergize with the lack of maneuverability of the vehicle, plus its vulnerability when it doesn't have blockade armor. So, in conclusion, I think proximity radar is an incredibly powerful ability. Too often overlooked for the much more convenient auto repair, but it does have a few drawbacks. You will be having to pop out more often to repair, and as you lose the proximity radar when you jump out of your vehicle, particularly in a Lightning, this makes you vulnerable. It makes short-range tank-based weapons much more viable. But there is a potential valid criticism, which is why should you adapt your vehicle to suit your gun rather than your gun to suit your vehicle? In other words, why would you attach a short-range weapon when you can attach a long-range weapon such as the halberd? And finally, even though rank 1 is relatively inexpensive at 100 certs, in my opinion, to make this a genuinely effective aggressive tool, you need to upgrade it all the way to rank 4, with rank 2 and rank 3 adding relatively little advantage when you take into account the cost. However, personally, I'm a big fan of it, as it allows for a more fun, aggressive playstyle in my opinion. Now, my next episode I'll be taking a look at side, front and top armor. If you found this episode interesting or useful, please feel free to thumbs up, thumbs down, comment or subscribe as appropriate. In the meantime, have a good one, happy hunting, and Pintpot out. God, there's a lot of them, aren't there?